YouTube, what is going on? Happy Football Friday. I say Football Friday because we are getting closer and closer to actual football being played. For right now, though, we have a lot to talk about. Jets training camp in full swing. And joining me here on the channel is Will Parkinson of Turn on the Jets. He's the host of the podcast there, writes for the website TurnOnTheJets.com. Will has been at just about every practice that has been open to the public. So I thought there'd be no better time than to have Will back on the show, breaking down the Jets, what he has seen, what he's seen from the quarterback of Zach Wilson, the play of him, and of course, all the other top storylines. Before we get to any of that, though, if you're new to the channel, please do me a solid and subscribe down below. You subscribing helps my page continue to grow. You also, if you already subscribe, can like this video and comment your thoughts throughout. Any questions you have for Will or I, we will see it in the chat box. We'll try and answer some throughout this. And of course, if you watch it after we've already been live, then comment below what your thoughts are on, just how things are right now with the 2021 New York Jets. I do also want to say that anyone who still needs a Zach Wilson jersey, I'm still giving out the link to Parts Unknown. All you have to do is go on Twitter, follow me at Jake Asman, direct message me, and I will send you that link so you can get a jersey, which is cheap, and you don't have to spend a whole lot of money for. All right, without further ado, let's bring on Will. Will, my man, training camp is upon us. You've been there. How you doing? How you been?
It's good, dude. It's an exciting time. It's nice to watch football in person again and actually get to watch guys up close and confirm or not confirm exactly what I've been talking about. We've been talking about forever. So it's just nice to hear see pads on, guys running around and making plays, and it's exciting. Football is back. I think this is the last Sunday, right, or last weekend without a game until February between college and the NFL. So it's an exciting time of year.
So getting out there, first couple practices that you've seen, obviously, and there's so many new players on this team, entirely new coaching staff. Obviously, the biggest story is there's a brand new quarterback that everyone has their eyes on, and Zach Wilson. What have been some of your biggest takeaways observing practice?
Biggest takeaway, I think Elijah Moore is like the biggest storyline. It's kind of almost taken the Zach Wilson stuff, and he's like, it's been all about Elijah Moore, and he's really, really good. And I thought he was going to be really good. I know people were really high in the draft pick when it happened. He fell to the Jets, which is great. And, they were going to take him at 23. It seemed like, when we had that, we did, this podcast and we did your show. We were like, oh, they're going to take ABT or Elijah Moore at 23, and they end up getting both guys. But yeah, the biggest takeaway, the culture is different. There's a calmness about practice, and there's a calmness around what's going on. And there's like a looseness that I haven't seen from the Jets in a very, very long time. There's confidence. You hear the quotes from Salah. Those are the biggest takeaways from me being there. It's just like, there's just like fun, vibrant, almost college-like energy from a lot of these guys. And it's a really young roster. So those are the biggest, I would say that's the biggest takeaway for me. It's just, they feel like a competent organization. And I know this stuff happened with Wilson the first 2 days, but that's a thing of the past. And I don't know. He looks good. He looks getting better each day. He's had some ups and downs, but I think that's okay. I think that's what you want to see out of a rookie quarterback, and him grow. He had a really rough first day, came back and lit it up the next day, right? Like, that's the stuff that's exciting. So yeah, Moore and Wilson are huge takeaways, and then just the way Salah runs practice, the way you see there's just constant teaching from him, and you see it in person. He's just talking to everybody constantly. He's not just sitting there, head in a play call sheet and not talking to his players. So that's the huge difference I noticed from the last couple of years.
When you watch Wilson in person, because obviously you're one of the few Jet fans that have been out there and you've been able to see, the live arm strength, the mobility in the pocket, moving from the outside. What stands out? Does his tape that you watched, Will, leading up to the draft, match what you have seen so far at these practices?
Yeah, off-platform throws are a huge thing. He moves around well. He's a lot bigger in person. I know that was the whole thing with Fred Warner. He went with Salah and went to Wilson's pro day to check out size-wise what he looked like. And, he's listed at 6'2", 215, and I think he looks like he is 6'2", 215. He doesn't look – he's still, he's a young guy. He definitely can put on a little bit of weight over the next couple of years. I think would not hurt him. But his arm strength is real. He makes a lot of these throws. You can tell the difference in the zip on the ball when even they're going through indie drills and Morgan and White are throwing, they're NFL quarterbacks. It's not like these guys are, they might not be great, but they're still NFL quarterbacks. And there's a difference when the ball comes out of his hand. I noticed that a bunch. And then seems like he makes decisions a little quicker than what we've seen recently. I feel like even if he's holding on to the ball a little bit, it's still for 5 practices in to your NFL career. There's a confidence, there's a swagger, and he makes all the throws. And you could tell he had a couple of throws. He had one kind of going backwards, like almost like a jump Derek Jeter-ish throw on a deep out, and it was like that, and like on a seat, you're like, oh wow, that's a hell of a throw. Or perfect touch. He hits Elijah Moore on a bomb on the sideline the other day, and they're just throws. Every throw looks clean. Like Ray's going to make mistakes, but the arm strength is real. The arm talent is real, and his ability to move in the pocket, which is a huge thing on tape. You see it. He does it, and as practice, yes, and the whole 9 yards. But you see it, and I think he looks the part. I'm not worried about Wilson. He kind of confirmed for me what I saw going in the draft. Obviously, we need to see him in a game, but the first couple of practices, he looked good.
Elijah Moore has been the talk of camp. You thought coming in, you alluded to this at the top, it'd be about Zach Wilson. And of course it still is ultimately, but Elijah Moore has played so well that you have even some of the more cynical people that cover the Jets saying, yeah, this guy's unbelievable. You have people say that he's going to be a Pro Bowler as a rookie already. When you watched him, what made him so good? What stood out? And are all the reports about how special he's looked so far, have those been accurate?
Yeah, I mean, he's a natural route runner. His route running it's exceptional. His ability to get in and out of cuts really, really quickly and like not lose speed, I think, is something that, and I'm sure we'll get to Denzel Mims at some point, but there's a stark difference. The way he's able to, like, he ran a couple routes, a couple whip routes where it's like maybe 5 yards, you kind of running and you like pivot and then kind of go backwards. He looked really, really good in that, which was awesome. I liked his ability to, like I said, accelerate and not, get caught up in it going in and out of breaks. He looks really, really good. He's a natural hand catcher, which is something that's super important. You don't always see that. Guys that are that fast sometimes aren't natural catchers of the ball. They usually like kind of catch with their chest. You could see drops being an issue. I don't see that being an issue. Those are the two things that really stood out to me. It's just he's really good. Like, he's a legit, really good NFL receiver. And I kind of went back and forth with Mina Kimes and Daniel Jeremiah yesterday on Twitter, and they're like, this guy is really exciting. And they comped him to Tyler Lockett, which there's been a lot of different comps thrown out for him. We've seen Tyreek Hill, we've seen Antonio Brown, Santana Moss, all these different guys. I really did like the Tyler Lockett one because he's an exceptional receiver. I think people don't talk about him because he's not as flashy, but there's some real legitimate juice to Elijah Moore, and I would not be surprised if, week 6, week 7, he's getting the lion's share of targets for the Jets because of how special he is with the ball in his hands.
What other receivers have you found that Wilson has already had really good chemistry with? We know about Moore. He's been the talk of camp, but how has Corey Davis looked in your eyes? How has Jamison Crowder looked? Obviously, we've heard a lot about Keelan Cole having an impact so far. What have been your thoughts there?
Yeah, I mean, I really like what I've seen from Corey Davis. I think he's going to be a really good player in this offense. I think he fits the scheme really well. I think he's ascending. He's a guy that, and we've talked about this when they signed him, but look, he was a top 5 pick, right? And he's one of the best college receivers of all time statistically. So it's not like this guy was some, loser that the Jets just had one big year. He's supremely talented. And I think for the Jets, they have a really good, they're nice, really good 3 receivers right now that I feel really confident in when they go 11 personnel. So 3 receivers, 1 running back, 1 tight end, and they go Elijah Moore and Corey Davis on the outside, and then Jamison Crowder on the inside. It's a really good group right there. And it's guys that do all things a lot, different and special. I know there's the other day, Wilson missed Crowder kind of wide open, honestly, on a seam ball in red zone team period. And then they're after practice working on that same route. Right. So like they get it. I think these guys get it. And those are the 3 guys that have stood out. Keelan Cole can do a little bit of everything. He's having a nice camp. Vincent Smith's honestly having a really good camp as well. Barrios, is who he is. He's a guy that's really fun to root for, and he's a social media king, but I don't know how many reps he's getting, he'll be getting come game day. The only guy that I have not been impressed with is Denzel Mims, and I was really disappointed the times I've seen him in person. I'm not sure if it's a confidence thing. I'm not sure if it's the hamstring still bothering him. I'm not sure if it's a scheme thing where he's just not mentally feeling like where he should be, so he's playing slower. but some of the routes that I saw, some of the stuff, he had a couple. He would have one nice play and then couldn't get open and get off press for 4 straight plays. And a guy that's 6'3", 220 and ran in 4 threes. And he's a really hard worker. It's not like his work ethic and something, he doesn't have talent, but there is some issues there, and I'm concerned that it's going to be a slow start to the year for him. And the Jets are not going to just hand him playing time because he was a second round pick last year. And he showed flashes, which we all were really excited about. And it's not over. It's a week into camp, right? It's 8-9 practices. They've worn pads twice, but he has certainly probably played the 6th or 7th best of the receiver group, which is tough. He didn't have a lot of time in OTAs and mini camps either. He was hurt, and he needs to string together 4 to 5 good practices in a row to get him going, where people can start to be as high on him as they were 2 weeks ago. That was the only guy that I was really concerned with. Everyone else, I think they've played well. I've been impressed. Like I said, I've seen a lot from Corey Davis and more, I think, and Crowder are the guys that stand out. They'll be the starters, but they stand out. They're getting all of the 1s reps pretty much. Everyone else is kind of splitting 1s, 2s, and 3s reps across the board.
What has the tight end position look like from your eyes being at these practices?
The tight ends, actually, I didn't love what I saw too much the first open practice, and then they had a really good day 2 days ago. Tyler Croft had a couple nice plays. He's a guy you kind of know what you're getting with him, but I don't think that's a bad thing. I think the Jets could use some stability at some of these positions, and I know I joke about this in the podcast. A lot of these positions, the Jets have high-end guys at some positions, and they have position groups that they need to just be okay. Like if the Jets can get league average production out of the tight end group, and they get what we think they're going to get out of Moore and Davis and Crowder and these guys, this offense could be pretty damn good. So the tight end group's been solid. Herndon's had some moments. He's looked good. He's not running. He's not getting a ton of 1s reps. He's kind of mixing in with the 1s and the 2s, but I think he's starting to he looks a little bit like Chris Herndon from a couple years ago, which I think come game week, that's going to be huge for the Jets. Ryan Griffin, honestly, has had a somewhat nice camp, which is surprising. He's a guy that I honestly thought might get cut. I don't really see that happening now. I think Daniel Brown's very much on the outside looking in. Yibo, he had a couple drops. He's a guy that was probably a practice squad candidate anyways. So not much kind of there, but the top 3 guys have all looked good. They've given some juice to practice. I'll say that. And they've given more than I was expecting out of the tight end group. And I think you'll see more once the pads come on, more consistently. Tomorrow we've got the green and white scrimmage. I'm interested to see how Herndon does blocking, and because Tyler Croft's a pretty solid blocker, and I think if he can give them just a solid production, that's great. But no, the tight end group's been solid. I don't think they've wowed anybody, but I also don't think they've been awful, which I know is embarrassing as a Jets fan to say that. But again, if they just get decent production out of the tight end group, I think they're going to be okay.
Let's stay with the offense and keep going position by position. We've done quarterback with Zach Wilson. We've done, of course, the receivers. We just did the tight ends. How about the running back room? A lot of guys have been getting some reps. I've liked what I've read from some of these dudes. Tevin Coleman looks good. He knows the offense. That would make sense early on. Obviously, a lot of Jet fans excited about a guy like Michael Carter out of the 4th round having an impact. What have you seen from when you've been out there watching these running backs?
So running backs, only thing that's tough with the running backs is they've only had a couple padded practices. So it's kind of difficult to really tell what's real. Michael Piron's had a nice camp so far, which is something that I think the fan base kind of was really high on Denzel Mims, really high on Bryce Hall, pretty soured on Davis and on Piron. So it's interesting. Piron's had a nice camp. He's looked explosive. He's looked a lot better than more like the guy that we saw in camp last year. And then, he sprains the ankle in the scrimmage after a big touchdown run and just kind of underwhelmed, I guess is the best way to phrase it, last year. So he's looked solid. Ty Johnson's had a couple nice runs. You kind of know what you're getting with Ty Johnson and Tevin Coleman for that matter. Both guys that have kind of been around a little bit now and both super fast and they look good. Right. Michael Carter's been really impressive. I like the way he runs. I like his decision-making. I like everything I've heard from him. I like everything that I've seen. I think he'll be RB1 for the Jets. I think he's going to get the majority of touches. I don't think he's going to be this workhorse Derrick Henry back, but he's looked good. And all the rookies that, have kind of integrated themselves well, I feel like in the running back room as well. I mean, Josh Adams and I know Weller had a good run yesterday, but he's probably a guy that's maybe a practice squad guy. that's the top 4 guys have all kind of had their moments during camp, and it's been good to see. They ran the ball really well yesterday and the day before with the pads on. They looked good. So yeah, Michael Carter's been really impressive. Again, the shiftiness, quickness. He's a tough runner. You see the decision making. You can see him like get it already. You can see when he sees a hole, he's taking it, and he's not getting negative yards. None of these running backs are, quite frankly, and I've been really impressed with that. They haven't been dancing around the backfield. Look, I don't want to go down to Le'Veon Bell, and he was an amazing running back in the NFL during his time, but he didn't fit well with the Jets because although this offensive line's improved, and I'm sure we'll get to this, they still are improving. They're still a really, really young group, and they had to gelling together and all these things, and they can't. The Jets need 3-4 yard runs every time they run the ball, and not -1, -2, then 12. Like that's their offense. It can't function that way with the rookie quarterback. So I've liked what I've seen with the running backs, and I think it'll be Carter 1. I think probably Tevin Coleman will be the 2 back, and then I think Piron and Ty Johnson will kind of split those RB3 reps and be heavy special teams guys.
Well, let's squeeze in a question here in the comment section, and then we'll get to the offensive line before we head to the defense. This one's from Legend Killa in the comment section. Curious what Jake/Will think about where Zach Wilson is now compared to where Darnold was. I know Wilson is with the 1s while Sam was with the 3s and moved up, but still thoughts. Well, if you remember when Sam got to practice originally in 18, he was with the 3s, and then they started right away moving him, with the 1s, and it became pretty obvious, like about a week or so into camp, hey, Sam has a legitimate chance to be the week 1 starter. With Wilson, it's true. I mean, he's been the guy, since he's been drafted, took all the reps with the 1s and OTAs and mini camps. So, Will, you were out there. How do you think Zach Wilson's looked? And were you at any of Sam's practices when he was a rookie to maybe compare it to?
I saw. So I guess the difference I would say in the situations are this. Sam came in. They had Teddy and Josh McCown on their roster, both veterans who very easily could have started week 1 for the Jets. Sam won that job, and I know Jets fans don't want to hear positive things about Sam because for whatever reason he really pissed them off. But he won that job, and the Jets were always going to get Sam to be the starter, but he kind of had to work his way for it. Not that Zach Wilson does not, but the Jets are giving Zach Wilson every chance. He's gotten reps with the 2s, he's gotten reps with the 3s. Like Zach Wilson gets, I would say, probably 70% of the reps that practice in all these different team periods. And then, Morgan and White battling out for that backup job, and now Josh Johnson as well. But no, Wilson's looked good. And again, he's getting every opportunity possible to be able to get better each and every day. He's going to be the starter. There's no doubt about that. I just think they're in different situations. Sam came from a huge program, but Sam was a guy that didn't have a lot of starts in college. He was just really, really, he was really exciting in college and got drafted really high. Zach's a more experienced quarterback, and so he's coming in to a smaller school, but they're just in different spots. I think, like I said, the Jets are in a different spot. There's a lot more talent around them.
So much more. I mean, Wilson has good players around him. I mean, Sam Darnold was throwing to guys that are, most of them are out of the league.
It was a disaster. No, but it's like I said, they're just in different spots. I think the coaching staff viewed things differently. I think you've heard Salah talk about it. He's like, I'm not going to everything. Everyone needs to earn a job, and this is this is why the stuff with Denzel Mims and these guys, they have to earn these jobs. Like Salah's giving people every chance, every opportunity to go out and earn jobs. Whether if you're a guy that's a 3, you might get 1 reps the next day because he wants to see it. And with Wilson, he'll get the 1 reps, and then he sometimes will get reps with the 2s as well, and he'll just stay in there, and they'll just change everybody else. So he's looked good. I love the fact that he's getting better each and every day. The first day with pads, I thought he wasn't as good as he was yesterday with pad, in full pads. So again, it's improving. That's super important. And I think if he can continue to grow and be the guy that we saw in college and we've seen so far, the Jets are in good hands. They'll be okay.
Give me your thoughts on the offensive line play. It's tricky because not a whole lot of pads in some of these things. And, what is a sack? What isn't a sack? They usually just let the play continue and don't blow it dead. So it's tough. But, for a lot of Jet fans who haven't been at these practices, this is your first time seeing a guy like Mekhi Becton in person and just seeing, how big he is as a human being. What's Mekhi been like? Obviously, AVT's banged up right now, but he'll be out there eventually. Morgan Moses is still there. He's played well based on some reports. Give me your take on the offensive line.
Yeah, so the biggest takeaway, and I'm sure we'll get to this, the defensive line is kind of eaten the offensive line's lunch from a sense, but the Jets have arguably a top 5 defensive line in football. So this is not like the Jets.
Say that again. Say that again, because we have not been able to say that.
It's a top 5 defensive line in football. It got ranked 7 by PFF. I think they're probably a little higher than that if Lawson and Rankins can stay healthy and Q takes a jump. But offensive line wise, my biggest takeaway was, quite frankly, Mekhi is one of the biggest human beings. He looks like prime. He looks like prime Shaq. Morgan Moses is gigantic. I think I underestimated how big he is. He's 6'6", 330, and he's a big boy. And I've loved the coaching on the side of Morgan Moses and George Fant the other day, coaching up Mekhi on the side. Mekhi struggled a little bit with Carl Lawson. There's no doubt about that. But I think that's a good thing for the Jets. I think that you want to see, Mekhi probably had, I don't know, he struggled against Myles Garrett. He struggled a couple other times. He had the Raiders game struggled a little bit. He's going to need to continue to get better, and there's no better way for them to not if he can continue to get better in these practices as opposed to learning on the fly during games. The Jets are in good hands there. AVT's banged up a little bit. He'll be fine. I think the offensive line needs a little time to gel. I think they've struggled a little bit with some depth right now. Alex Lewis is a little banged up. I think he's probably got a concussion. Cam Clark, that was obviously a scary incident. So Chuma Udoka has been banged up. They just need to gel. And I think the more and more reps and pads they get, especially AVT and Becton together on that left side, Morgan Moses building chemistry realistically with Greg Van Roten, it'll be a good thing for the Jets. And
it's good having Font too now as a backup George Fant.
Yeah, big time, because you look at the Jets have struggled with injuries for a long. I mean, it's the NFL, everyone does, but the Jets have struggled more so than most teams. And I know from talking to some of the players inside the building, the Jets are doing a great job of trying to take care of these guys. And trying to make sure they're staying healthy. They, every other day, sometimes with the full pads, and they're off today before scrimmaging tomorrow. It's just trying to keep them healthy and in the right sense. But the offensive line will be okay. It's a work in progress, and the whole offense is really young and have never played together. First time play caller, rookie quarterback, rookie receiver, rookie left guard, second year left tackle, the rookie running back. So it's just going to take some time to gel. But I've liked what I've seen from the offense as a whole, and they're growing and they're getting better.
It's good to see Wilson have to go up against this front in practice, get used to what an NFL pass rush is going to be. And the Jets, we talked about it. They finally, it appears, have a good defensive line. And I see Legend Killer made the point I was about to make. They're doing this without Quinn Williams right now, who's still out with an injury and has not yet put on the pads yet for this team. But let's talk more about the defensive line. Look, Carl Lawson was my favorite signing the Jets made in the offseason. I said that on the show many times. He, to me, is one of the more underrated players in the league. The scheme in Cincinnati didn't allow him to put up big pass rush numbers like sack-wise, but pressure rate, he was right there with any in the league. Now Saleh, is going to let him do what he has to do to hit the quarterback. And I think the error of the Jets not having a guy that can consistently get 10-plus sacks a year, I think that's over. I think Carl Lawson's going to come in and be the best pass rusher the Jets have had since John Abraham.
Yeah, the defensive lines looked really good. Sheldon Rankins looks healthy. He had a play the other day I mentioned this on the podcast. He was they ran outside zone to the right side, and he was in the left. It was in the left. It's hard to envision it, but basically he ran cross field and tracked down Michael Carter behind the line of scrimmage, running an outside zone play on the opposite side. And Sheldon Rankins is a big dude, so it's a lot of meat moving at one time. But no, Bryce Huff's been awesome. I think he's going to flash. I just have him on the podcast and listen to the way he trained over the summer with Aaron Donald and studies this guy's films.
Was he training with knives too?
Yeah,
he
did. He trains with the same guy, and they train with knives. He said it's really cool. They do some Egyptian hand combat stuff, and I was like, sounds intense, but he's looked really good. John Franklin Myers got banged up the other day, but he's a guy. If him and Huff can take that fourth defensive line spot opposite Carl Lawson, Q, and Rankins, realistically, that's a defensive line that could creep up to 2-3 in the league if they have the type of year. Lawson's been incredible. I mean, this guy is fast. He's quick. He's super strong. He's so smart. The way you'll be able to see this eventually when you be able to watch him in person, but the way he moves along the defensive line pre-snap, and the Jets, all these guys move and everyone does their own thing. He's moving constantly and trying to get an edge, and he's beating guys with all these different types of moves, and it's been really impressive. And he's fourth in the NFL in pass rush rate last year and in pressures. I think he's got 100 and He had, I think, 64 pressures last year, which is incredible. The Bengals defense did nobody any favors in terms of scheme fit. Jesse Bates, who had an incredible year for them last year and is an underrated guy who's now not underrated but was playing like in coverages that made no sense. William Jackson was one of the better man corners in Cincinnati, and they never let him press. It's like there was a lot of stuff there. So the Jets got to – I think if Lawson can stay healthy, they've got a legitimate – it could approach that elite level edge. I mean, right now he's probably a step below, but he's got a chance to get there. They haven't done, like you said, Q hasn't, practiced. He's looking like he's, starting to move and starting to get things, kind of ramped up here. The Jets defensive line's really good. And again, it's really good for this offensive line to go against it every day. The one thing that I'm just want to make sure that Jets continue to do is like this defense suits them better. This 4-3 suits Q better. It suits Carl Lawson better. Bryce Huff is probably profiles more of a stand-up guy, but can play 4-3. So they're in a good spot. I think people are going to really enjoy watching this defensive line week in and week out. And the games they get home and get pressure, they're going to cause some problems and cover up some of the holes at cornerback.
MetLife's going to be loud as you know what if the Jets are hitting quarterbacks at home with a real, pass rush up front. Staying with the defense here, linebackers, CJ Mosley. Obviously, if he's really good, that could elevate this defense to a different level this year. What have you seen from him so far?
He looks really healthy. He looks just as quick as he did. I haven't, have to see when he starts tackling people, how his body's going to hold up and get used to that stuff. I know I saw someone the other day say, "Oh, why is everyone getting hurt at Jets camp? Or why is everyone getting hurt?" It's the second day they've had pads on in 9 months, since February or January. So this is what happens. You guys get banged up early in camp. Mosley looks really light. Like I think he's 20 pounds lighter than he's played at in the NFL. So let's see how that, kind of pays off. Linebackers, Gerard Davis had a good camp. He's a guy that I know everyone was kind of not sure how to feel about the signing. He's a former first-round pick. Another guy, we talk about Gase, freedom watch. Matt Patricia's the defensive Adam Gase. Gerard Davis said he contemplated quitting football, and he's 24 years old and is a former first-round pick. So that's how bad the situation in Detroit was. The linebackers have looked good. Hamza, Blake Cashman, Jamie Sherwood are kind of all splitting reps in that will spot. As long as they can continue to grow there, and if Blake Cashman stays healthy, if Hamza looks good and can transition to linebacker well, that's good for them. But Mosley and Davis have looked good, and I think you're going to see a lot of Jets playing 4 defensive linemen, 2 linebackers, and 5 DBs a lot. Try to just mix up some pressures and do different things that they can get home with 4 people instead of having to blitz a ton, which we saw under Rex, which was great, but there wasn't that one-on-one elite pass rusher.
My name is Jake Asman. He's Will Parkinson. Thanks to the 130 people that are watching this live right now. If you're new to my channel, we talk plenty of Jets. Please subscribe down below. Like this video. Help me grow. Will does the Turn on the Jets podcast. He's the host of that. So subscribe to that wherever you get your podcast if you want more daily Jets talk. All right, well, let's stay with the defense, right? We've talked defensive line. We've talked linebackers. Secondary is the biggest question with this team, specifically the cornerbacks. We know Marcus May is at safety. We know they have Ashton Davis. We know they obviously have LaMarcus Joyner, who they signed and they could use in safety or in the nickel role. What do you made of the secondary so far? Some of the younger corners are definitely getting the opportunity here, including maybe a guy like Isaiah Dunn, who's an undrafted free agent.
Yeah, Bryce Hall's looked good from a corner perspective. Marcus May, LaMarcus Joyner have looked good. It's a shame Ashton Davis is hurt right now. I'd love to see them do some 3 safety stuff and let Ashton run around and maybe be that 5th blitzer and kind of play some of the slot guys. I think people should not be down on Ashton Davis yet. I think let's be patient. The guy showed some flashes last year. He had some rough times, but he's a rookie safety. He's a guy who's a 110-meter Pac-12 hurdle champ. So obviously an elite level athlete. We'll see when he comes back. The biggest thing, I know I touched on this at the beginning of the show, if this contract extension stuff with Marcus May was any other coach that the Jets have had recently or any other situation with the GM, it would be a big deal. Marcus May answered questions the first day of practice. It has not been brought up one other time. He's just playing football. It's a huge deal. From a corner perspective, Pinnock's had some moments. Isaiah Dunn's had some moments. Bless Austin had a nice couple of moments the other day in practice. He's a guy that if he can stay healthy and if he can stop holding, he's a guy that maybe is able to contribute. So the corners are going to rotate they're going to rotate through slot. Slot positions interesting. It's Guidry and Michael Carter. Elijah Campbell as well. There's a guy Salah kind of shouted out the other day. So we'll see how that kind of transpires. But they're going to struggle some days, and they're going to have other good days. They're just it's a really young group. Bryce Hall is going to have to take another step, and I think he can. He was a really good player. He's probably going to be a first or second round pick if he doesn't hurt the ankle in 2018 or 2019. So they just got to progress and keep getting better. Look, Elijah Moore's ate everybody's lunch. It's not like a slate. It's difficult because in camp, when one guy does well, it means somebody else isn't doing well. I don't think that's necessarily the case right now. I don't think Carl Lawson having a good camp means Mekhi Becton's playing badly, or Elijah Moore having a great camp means Bryce Hall's playing badly. There's a couple of times he's just made the better play on it. The corner group's been – it is what it is. It's just they're inexperienced and they're young, and they're guys that they're going to have to try to hit on and hope that they can get home so that they can they can be okay from a pressure perspective and not let these guys get exposed too much, because there will be some weeks, quite frankly, that they're going to have to get a lot of yards, but other weeks they're going to look great, and it's going to be a roller coaster for sure, to be honest.
Well, we have 136 people watching live right now. We have covered basically the entire team thus far, as the Jets are off today. Green and white scrimmage tomorrow. Then next week, we get set for a preseason game, and we actually get to see, guys on the Jets go up against guys on a different team, which should be a lot of fun. But here's an opportunity. If you're watching right now, you could write in a question. We will do a little Q&A. Will's been at pretty much all the practices that have been open for the fans. So if you have a question, feel free to write one in, and we will respond. I see this one here from Howard Desper. Thank you for watching, Howard. Howard writes, are you confident in the current tight end group? It's the best safety blanket for a rookie quarterback. Have there been any rumors about Zach Ertz becoming an option if he gets cut in the coming weeks? We briefly talked about tight ends earlier. Looks like the Jets have some solid options at tight end, like a Tyler Croft. Now, in a perfect world, Chris Herndon's a guy that could be a really good player for this team. He has the talent. It hasn't worked, as every Jet fan watching this knows. But overall, I would say I feel fine with the tight end group, because I think the Jets have a coach that could scheme around utilizing slot guys to play that role maybe a tight end would play. So we shall see. But Will, your thoughts once again, are you confident in the tight end group?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not overly confident. They haven't disappointed so far in camp. They looked better than I thought. So I don't see Ertz happening unless he gets cut. And, I think Ertz is going to want to try to, the Bills are probably a legitimate option. A couple other contenders that want to add one more guy. I think the Jets will be active in terms of cuts, just to add veterans to the roster when it makes sense, probably at corner, at offensive line, maybe at tight end, but maybe at linebacker. But the tight end group's been fine. I think the safety blanket for the Jets is going to be Jamison Crowder is going to be the safety blanket. I think Elijah Moore is going to be a safety blanket. The Jets they'll use that slot position. They'll use Michael Carter, and then some of the other tight ends. So I don't think it'll be. I think it'll be a tight end by committee in some senses, and I think they'll be okay. I'm not until I see consistent play from Chris Herndon in game action. I'm not gonna say he is a great safety blanket. He could be. He has some opportunities, but. Yeah, the tight end group's been fine. They've not disappointed in any way, shape, or form. I just would like to see, I'd like to see this in game before I get too confident about the tight end group.
Justin Martin writes in, before training camp, everyone was writing P. Ryan off. I like him. How's he doing amongst the other RBs?
He's been really impressive. He's had some big wins, some big runs, pretty much every single day. Again, he's a guy that. He had the sprained ankle last year, and it looked like he didn't get that explosion back. He looked really good. He's running hard. He's a one cut back. He's looked good.
He's a Douglas pick too, so it should help him.
He's a Douglas pick. I'm interested. I think the Jets, again, similar to Morgan and similar to these other guys, I think in an ideal world they can hit on these guys. So at least if they validate those picks and they can be long-term contributors. Piron's looked good. I think people were out on him heavily. I think people are going to see, hopefully, if he plays well, green and white scrimmage in the preseason, he's a guy I think people kind of begin to get higher again on. But right now, he's looked good. He's looked just as good as the other running backs. I think, again, he's probably RB2 or RB3 for the Jets this year, depending upon health and things like that. But it'll be Carter and then a committee of Coleman, Piron, and Ty Johnson.
This one's from the great Carly Fleischer. What will the Jets do without former professional lacrosse player Chris Hogan? Oh, my. That's a big time storyline we haven't talked about. Chris
Good
Hogan comes
God.
out of lacrosse or out of football retirement. He goes and he's playing lacrosse, and then he leaves that to go sign with the Saints. I don't know if the Jets could recover from that one, Will.
No, that was one of those. Woof. I don't even. It sucks. That was brutal. And look, the Jets are already getting lucky. Sorry for the background noise, but the Jets
Sounds like there's a children's convention going on behind me.
There is. Basically, is a bunch of my nephews running around in the house going crazy, beating each other up. But no, the Saints look very beatable for the Jets. It's another game. The Colts as well. That now some of these injuries and things, Michael Thomas being out, no Drew Brees, Wentz is injured, Quentin Nelson, Darius Leonard just had surgery. So those are two games that I think I probably penciled in as losses for the Jets that I think could be wins for them. But I'm really glad there's not the veteran journeyman guys that are kind of brutal. Brutal to watch last year in Gore and Hogan and Rashad Perryman, those types. Legend
Killer wants more on Isaiah Dunn. What have you seen from the mysterious undrafted cornerback?
Isaiah, I mean, he's had moments. He's had moments where he's struggled. He's had moments where he's looked good. I believe, in my opinion, I think he's a guy who makes the roster. I think he contributes. So I was kind of basically giving everyone a chance to get ones reps and who continue to impress. I think Dunn and Pinnock have probably played slightly better than Eccles, but Eccles got some one reps too. And they're all going to rotate. Again, Isaiah Dunn, it's going to be tough until we see him in game action or in the scrimmage action, this weekend. But no, he's looked good, and he's a guy that's an undrafted free agent. I think makes the roster and contributes in year one. So I think that's about as much as the Jets could ask for from an undrafted free agent, as a rookie with this defense.
Final question here, Colin Wheel. Thoughts on the kicking game? Have you been able to see the special teams periods when you've been out there?
Yeah, I mean, still the Braden Man pick still pisses me off, but whatever. That's a whole nother thing. That they got Amendola, who looks like an absolute house. He's got a huge leg. They got Chris Nager out of SMU, who's looked good. He's been 4 for 4. I don't know if. So we'll see how that goes. He looks like he will probably win the job. They cut Sam Ficken, which I think we're all happy about. But yeah, no, that's the kicking games. The Jets could use a veteran kicker, but I guess we'll kind of wait and see how this thing goes and how these guys kick in preseason. Because look, the Jets have been burned by kicking a lot.
Yes,
and it'd be nice to get that Nick Foles or Jason Myers season. From 15 and it was 19 or whatever it was, 2016, 2017, when Myers was a Pro Bowl with him and Andre Roberts making Pro Bowl appearances.
I actually, I'm based in Houston, as most people probably watching this know who watch the show. I was at Texans training camp today covering it for ESPN Houston, and Andre Roberts spoke to the media, and I pulled him aside afterwards. I was like, by the way, biggest mistake Mike McCagnon made was not bringing you back. And he laughed. It was a pretty funny moment. So don't worry, Jet fans. Andre Roberts is still in good spirits here in Houston.
Any Deshaun play safety today, or is he
not even out there? He is not even out there. They are saying he has a calf injury that, look, if it was that serious, yeah, basically he's a ghost. That's there's your Deshaun Watson update.
Yeah, no, I everything I'm hearing, Deshaun's not going to get suspended. So, which I don't know. That's not saying that's the right thing to do. And just the way the league works. So we'll see what happens. But the problem is from my understanding, and you could tell me differently, but my understanding is he wants the Dolphins, and I reported this on Twitter last week. He wants to go to Miami. The problem is that I don't think the Texans want Tua, and Miami.
They're not trading him. They're not trading him. They're just not going to happen.
No, exactly. So
the Eagles weren't in on him too, by the way. That report that came out the other day, they got shot down. I spoke to a bunch of people, not even close. So
yeah, no, he has to waive the no trade, and he doesn't want to waive the no trade in Denver or Philly, so it doesn't matter. Even if they agreed on the deal, he has to waive a no trade clause,
which I think he would do now. But Texans aren't going to trade him for 25 cents on the dollar. They're just going to wait. They're just telling him to go away and get your money and don't play for us. So we shall see.
That's crazy.
Anyhow, he's Will Parkinson. He does a great job. Turn on the Jets, the podcast. He writes for TurnOnTheJets.com. He's got huge names, players on the current Jets, former Jet players, media types. I've been on a couple times. Definitely take a listen to Will's podcast. 152 of you right now. Do me a favor. Click the like button. It helps more people see this video. And please, of course, subscribe down below. So like the video, subscribe. I'm on Twitter at Jake Asman. Jet fans, if you want the link to a parts unknown Zach Wilson jersey or Elijah Moore or Mekhi Becton. I actually bought another Moore jersey the other day, so I'm sold. Number 8's coming in stealth black, Will. So
I got a New York Titans Elijah Moore jersey.
Whoa. How about that?
Yeah, it was pretty cool. See how it comes out. I saw one of the questions in the comment box before we go. Kick returning wise, it'll probably be some combination of Berrios, Ashton Davis, and Vincent Smith. I would say maybe Elijah Moore gets some reps, but I doubt they're going to want to run him out there too much. But the return game will be mostly Berrios, Vincent Smith, and those two guys will probably take majority, and Ashton Davis as well when he's healthy.
There you go. All right. Well, my man, thanks for doing this. Pleasure talking to you. And every Jet fan out there, look, we're another week closer to actual football being played. Look, I know it's the preseason, but for us, we have a rookie quarterback. We want to see Zach, so we will get to see that next week against the Giants. So it should be fun. Enjoy the green and white scrimmage tomorrow for anyone going to MetLife for that. Will, talk to you soon, man. Thanks again.
Thanks so much, man. Take care.
See you guys. Thanks for watching. Go Jets. And once again, let's see where things go. But thanks for watching this video, and we'll talk soon.